What's going on? How are you guys doing today? FMT, what's going on? How are you doing? Yep, I'm back. Kill some more time on a live. Nothing new to show. It's the same setup I had out earlier. What are you doing for the rest of the day? Half empty. Y'all don't be afraid to tap in and have a conversation. Double tap the screen, put some likes on the live. We'll figure out some dinner, pick up a sign I had made for a friend. There you go. What's the sign say? I don't know what we're doing for dinner yet. The wife left. Well, she brought me food when she came home earlier, so if we do eat supper, it'll be late. Not really hungry right now. He makes knives. That's cool. Does he forge them, or does he just cut them and shape them, sharpen them? and fit handles. I think a lot of people now, they kind of assemble knives, they don't necessarily make them. Like when people say make them, I kind of, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't, but I like picture them forging the steel. Yeah, I like the shadow systems too. It's actually grown on me quite a bit. Cut, shape, sharpen, heat treat. There you go. So he's making them. I know a lot of people, they buy like the blanks, so they're already kind of cut to shape. They cut them out of EDM or water jet or something, but it's definitely a cool trade to get into. Competitive, you know, but I've known a few people off and on that made knives, but they didn't stick with it very long. It's hard to make money at it. There's a lot of good knife makers out there, but it's definitely something everybody needs, is a good knife. What shadow systems do you have? See all. The water jet just grinds. A Colt Ely Whitney. I'd have to look that up. I'm not sure what model that is. But welcome back, John. Welcome back, Coors. How are you doing? Yeah, if you send me the link, do it in one of my videos or shorts. Send me his channel and I'll look him up. You could send it live, but I don't really have a way of saving it. 2K, there you go. Isaac, how are you doing? I get asked that a lot, Isaac. It really depends what I'm doing with it. You know, I have my favorite carry gun, which is just a Glock 26. I have my favorite competition pistol. Favorite revolvers. It all depends what I'm doing with it. You had one toe, but nothing right now. That's all right. Enjoy that downtime, man. Take advantage of it. Georgian, how are you doing, man? It's been a minute since I've had a chance to chat with you. What's new with you? How's it going? Yeah, 26 is a good gun. I've carried a Glock 26 since, I think 2001 is when I got my first one. But I've carried the Gen 3, the Gen 4, and now I have the Gen 5. So I've been carrying that gun primarily 99% since then. Working on your car? What's wrong with your car? Yeah, man, you always got to take time and enjoy that downtime. Yeah, I use the grip extension, so it gives you, doesn't give you any extra capacity, but it gives you a full grip. I've carried it the same way, so like I said, since 2001-ish, so 24 years. What's going on, Adrian? How are you doing? Been a while since I've seen you too. What have you been up to? Raid fan went out. Is it an electronic fan or is it a manual? Must be electronic. What kind of car? The gold gun. It's a Girsan MC Deluxe. It's a Beretta clone. It's a Turkish licensed copy, a NATO approved copy for Turkey makes it. So I figured it did. The 26 without the grip extension usually. I don't even think it fits girls' hands. It's a small gun. But what I like about the grip extensions is it gives you a place for your hand to grab, and it basically cuts the frame then at an angle, so it doesn't print real well. You know, it doesn't have the squared off mag well. It's cut on an angle, which for me is what I prefer. It conceals very, very nice. About to put an EPS on your carry on the bodyguard. Everything ordered. There you go. Do you have any thoughts on the 5.7 pistol? I want to like the M&P, but the front gap is something I can't digest. So I don't really have any thoughts on the 5.7. You know, if you were running NATO spec ammunition, so it was hot and it would actually do what it's supposed to do, the firearm would, in my opinion, would have a purpose and a place. But with the neutered civilian ammunition that a person can carry, the only advantage you're getting in a 22 or a 5.7 over like a 22 mag is the cost of the ammunition. You're just paying more for the same thing. You're not getting anything out of a 5.7 pistol that a 22 Magnum can't do, with the exception of one center fire and one's rim fire. You carry a Glock, Isaac? There you go. So yeah, it's not even the barrel. I mean, they run civilian ammunition. It's what the gun was designed for, what the cartridge was designed for. So the firearms were designed around the cartridge. That's not the ammunition you get. So I can see having one for a collection. It's kind of a cool piece to have in a collection, but for carrying it, I don't think, if you wouldn't carry a 22 Magnum, then you should reconsider carrying a 5.7, because it's almost identical. Same weight bullets, real similar velocity, same amount of transferred energy. So you're not gaining anything in a 5.7 over a 22 mag. But with that said, I mean, like in the PS90, it's fun to shoot. My kids really like shooting the P90. It's soft shooting and it's not very loud. Obviously, a handgun would be louder than the PS90. No, a 22 mag is rimfire, just like 22 long rifle, or 17 HMR, or 22 shorts rimfire. So that's really kind of the only advantage you would have. Speaking on a 5.7 to 22 mag is the fact that this 5.7 is center fired, meaning you get better ignition. However, I have never had a 22 Magnum fail to ignite. I don't know, maybe they're built to a little better standards than 22 long rifle, but I don't know. Would I carry a $2,000 gun if I had a reason to? I mean, if you're asking, would I worry about scratching it up or banging it up? Absolutely not. Firearm is a tool. I only have a few guns I don't use very often. One is my Colt. That doesn't get used very often anymore. But the race guns and shit, we throw them in barrels. I mean, I don't worry about beating them up. What I do think about, or what I do have as a concern, is how well does it carry. I come back to the Glock 26 because it's smooth. There's no sharp edges. It carries nice. I've carried the gun for years, so I'm comfortable with it. Lonely Boys, how are you doing? Is it better send my barrel into Glock to get it optic ready, or buy one that's already ready? You wouldn't send your barrel in. Your slide, I don't think Glock does upgrades on slide, but what I can tell you, we have a manufacturer that makes aftermarket Glock slides. His name is Stifler Manufacturing. You can find him on Instagram. You can find him on YouTube, and he's got a webpage. I'm actually supposed to be getting a discount code from him, so subscribe to the channel, and when I get that discount code, you can use it. But he manufactures aftermarket Glock slides that are already optics cut ready, so it's plug and play. Nope, I haven't tried ramjets at all. If I'm gonna spend another $400 for a setup, I'm just gonna buy something like the Shadow Systems. That's good to go. If it depends. If you're buying like a police trade-in gun, Richard, hi, how are you? I don't want to skip you. If you're buying like a police trade-in gun that isn't optics ready, the price of the firearm would justify buying it that way and then sending it in. You'd absolutely be ahead on the money. But otherwise, if you're buying a brand new gun, if you're going out to buy a brand new gun today, do not buy a firearm that's not optics ready. That's just the way it is. Right off the bat, you're going to lose a bunch of money on the gun because it's not optics ready. Luke, got the same 6-inch single action Ruger revolver, top cherry wood grips. I have no idea. I bought mine back in 2014, and that's actually the convertible. I'm sure yours probably is too, but it's got the 22 mag cylinder and the 22 long rifle cylinder. I don't have it pinned in my comments yet, but it's Stifler Manufacturing. Give me a few days and I'll have something on the channel. Otherwise, just look it up. Stifler, just like it sounds. Stiffler Manufacturing. You're so mad. Your local range got a Ruger Mark IV used that looks brand new for $300 after I bought a POS Smith & Wesson Victory. I think the Smith & Wesson Victory, they need tuning with the extractor and ejector, but after you tinker with them a little bit, they run pretty good. Figured $600 on a 365, then $500 on a ramjet. Why not get the Shadow? It was, yeah. So that's why I did it. So the Shadow Systems I have, I actually bought for my daughter. Now, if Glock had a factory built gun, I would have spent the money there, but they didn't. You know, I used to be a gunsmith. I had a business doing it, so I don't mind working on guns. But I'll be honest with you, I don't care to work on them anymore. I don't care to spend good money on a brand new gun and then go drop another $300, $400, $500, $600 on the gun to build it to what it should have been. I would rather just spend an extra couple $100 and get exactly what I wanted from the start. Now, with that, like, I could sit and pick the Shadow System apart, a dozen things that I'd like to change, but as it is, it's a great gun. It works, it runs, it's accurate, the comp works. Definitely my Victory fails to feed and light strikes on the last draw on every single mag. Huh, interesting. Sounds like, have you tried other magazines? Sounds like magazine issues. Maybe, yeah, that's interesting. I'd try some other magazines for sure. Probably tear the gun apart, clean it really good, put it back together. I just picked up a Taurus PT92. Is it a good purchase or did I waste my money? I don't know. I don't know how much you paid for it. The PT92s are a Beretta clone with a frame-mounted safety, correct? So they have a frame-mounted decock and a manual safety. I think I had a PT90, might have been 92, but I thought it was 99. PT99. I don't know, it was either PT92 or 99. It was stainless steel. The only thing I had with mine was I actually ground, I cut in a groove in the barrel that went under the slide, act like a barrel bushing like you would use in an HK. After I did that modification, the gun was great. It was a good shooter. But until that point, it wasn't the best shooter. However, most people wouldn't have been that picky or that accurate with it, so maybe it would probably be something that wouldn't be an issue. Yeah, I would say probably try another magazine, because if you're having failure to feed on the last round and then you get failure or light strikes on the last round, it sounds like Maybe something's going on there. I picked up a TSOS PX9 first, but its build quality was disappointing. Yeah, I don't have any experience with any TSOS firearms, so I wouldn't have any input there. Like I said, the Taurus, they were okay. You know, there was the barrel to slide fit was a little loose. In normal distances, most people wouldn't complain, but I didn't like it. It was an easy modification, but it was built. They built them on old Beretta machines, so at some point in time in history, Beretta updated all their equipment and their tooling, and they sold Taurus their equipment. But, you know, they had something going for them. The fact they had that frame-mounted safety and decocker was, you know, light years beyond what Beretta was doing. Beretta now just started catching up with that. Coco with Love, how are you doing, man? How's your day going? Imagine you're still at work, huh? Yeah, it's all right. You're almost done. A couple more hours, right? So all the Beretta style firearms, I like them. For me, because they have that transfer bar on the right side of the frame, I'm left-handed. That causes a problem, but the Beretta style firearms are generally pretty decent. Mags are perfect. I'm using Fiocchi 124 full metal jacket. Yeah, as long as you don't start running the flat nose or flat nose hollow point ammunition, they'll eat just about anything. They're not picky, and they, you know, it's almost impossible to get a malfunction in that style firearm because it's an open slide. There's nothing to keep anything in there. Whatever your name is, I have no idea how to say it or even try, but I'll say hi. Yeah. Like I said, they're good. If I were right-handed, I'd probably like them a lot more. I have my one Beretta on the table, and I bought that when my oldest was still a kid, and he was talking like he wanted to go into the service. At that time yet, the U.S. service pistol was the M9 Beretta. So I bought a Beretta so that, you know, at the time he was shooting, he could get proficient with the firearm. He ended up not going to the service, but I hung on to the gun. I don't really shoot them. My kids do. Other people do, but I really don't. "223 DMR, how are you doing? How's your day going?" Yeah, like I said, the only problem you're ever going to have in every Beretta is the same way. They do not like flat point projectiles. So even with hollow point ammunition, if it's a real blunt tip on it, you're going to have feeding issues with it. I guarantee that. That's written in stone. But anything with a good round or a good nose profile to it, that stuff's going to run forever for you. Will you grow into something else? Everyone does. It works good for now. Lego kid, I appreciate it, man. Turn it a little bit, you can see it a little better. Rainy and wet, LOL. Looks the same for a few more days. Huh, that sucks. It's humid here. It's not real hot. It got up to, I don't know what it got up to outside, but its house says 78, but it's humid. I'm not ready to turn the air conditioners on yet. Because once they get on, it doesn't really get shut off until it cools off. So dogs like to look out the windows. It's nice to have fresh air here. But soon enough will be probably another 2 weeks, and the house will be locked up until fall, which is what it is. But summer, man. You know, we're in June. It's gonna get humid everywhere. But it must have been close to 80 because, like I said, the house looks like 78, 79. So yeah, plans for the weekend. 223. Not yet. I think I have one of two options. Well, I got one of three actually. I could go riding. I don't know if I'm gonna go riding or not. I might. Or I could take just my daughter out and go do some shooting. She could use some practice. She's flinching hard again, and she's anticipating recoil, so she's nose diving the pistol. We could do that on Saturday, or we could go shoot an IDPA match on Sunday, or of course, obviously any other option. But them are the three things that kind of decide what I want to do. Stonebud, how are you doing? At the beach, still 30 plus fish today. Hope you're doing good. Yeah, I'm doing good, man. Sounds like you're hammering them fish though. What kind of fish are you catching? I watched your short videos. They're pretty cool. I appreciate it. No, I don't have any Canics. That's one firearm I don't own. Everyone told you to get the Chrome PT92 because they said it lasts better. I got the black one. The silver one was too shiny for me. Any suggestions on keeping the finish perfect? Well, if you're gonna carry it, it's gonna get banged up. I don't recall what kind of finish Taurus uses on them. If it's like a poly coat or if it's a Cerakote or whatever. The one I had back in the day was the stainless one, a polished stainless. I mean, just accept the fact it's gonna get beat up. I think they use a different finish on the barrel versus the slide and frame. But a good gun oil, you know, like a Rem oil or something like that, keep it sprayed down and wiped down. It shouldn't corrode. But I think for a carry gun, your friends are probably right. A chrome version would be better. It holds up a lot better finish wise. Blue runner, Spanish mackerel, kingfish, ladyfish, catfish, and a few others. You're not at home, are you? You're not catching all that in Tennessee. The Springfield high power. Yeah, I've been looking at them too. Hobby's number 9 is a good preservative. Yeah, it's a good preservative. I prefer, when I'm using it as a preservative, I prefer Rem Action oil, the aerosol oil. That's just my preference, but Hoppy's number 9 is a good preservative. It's a good cleaner. No, sir, you're at the beach. There you go. But that's the thing with any carry gun is you have to, and this kind of goes to you too, John. You got to accept the fact that your carry gun's gonna get damaged. It's gonna get scratched. It's gonna get banged up. It's gonna get corrosion. And you try to minimize all that, but it is gonna happen. You can't really do anything about that. Mr. Freephonics, loving the collection. I appreciate you, man. Double tap that screen for me. Same with any y'all other ones that are in here. Feel free to double tap the screen, throw a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, go to the channel, watch some videos. So what beach are you at, Stonebud? Sounds like you're somewhere by an ocean. Yeah, it happens. There's no way around that. Godfather, how are you doing, man? How's your day going? Yeah, everybody's got their own thing. So, like I said, mine for a preservative, to what I spray on a gun to keep it from corroding, I use Rem oil. I like Hoppy's number 9 for the majority of cleaning I'm gonna do. It works okay. I'm doing good, man. Just chilling. I haven't been on a live in a while, so we did one earlier. We'll do another one now. Run some time up on them. But yeah, Hobby's number 9's a good multi-purpose gun product. It works good for preserving. It works good for cleaning. There's better stuff, right? There's better stuff than Hoppy's number 9 for cleaning. There's better stuff than Hoppy's number 9 for preservative, but it's a good product. So yeah, I don't know if you can see the very top one up there, but the very top up there I have my Checkmate. That's an open division gun. The gun underneath the Revolver is a SP01 Tactical. It's a decocker model. I don't shoot that one much. I have a SP01 Competition, which is the same gun but a manual safety. That's my IDPA gun. The one right under that's Tactical Sport Orange 2. That's a limited gun, or we use it for Steel Challenge. The Shadow 2, that's another one I don't use very much, but it's built, has all the right parts, and I just don't use it. And we have the Tactical Sport that we run in for limited optics. So yeah, they're all primarily competition guns. I do clean my barrels, but probably not as often as you would think. Lucas makes a good gun oil too. I've been using it. I have a bunch of Lucas, and it's okay. There's my opinion is there's better stuff out there, but it's okay, you know. I prefer grease on a gun versus oil. You use Breakthrough for your cleaning. I tried Breakthrough years ago, and it ate a couple plastic magazines, and it was during the assault weapons ban, so I lost a 50-round 1022 magazine that I only had for a couple months. It was like a $200 magazine at the time. Since then, I haven't used any Breakthrough products at all. So, do I have a Colt Python? No, I do not have a Colt Python. John, I agree with you. I have the 92 Beretta. It's sitting above the Dan Wesson, but otherwise the gold one is it's a Girsan MC Deluxe. So, see the Beretta up there above the grip with or the gun with the red grip and trigger. But the gold one is a MC Deluxe made by Girsan. What? Tell me what it is.
Sea salt.
Sea salt? Them are good, and I'll pass on it right now.
Also, Callie and her dad are wondering if I can come over. I do have to help mom finish doing something.
We will, just because I don't want to argue with you right now.
I also do not have school tomorrow. Today was my last day. Thank you.
Yeah. So, as far as cleaning barrels, before every match, I will mop a barrel. So I'll take a wet patch, usually Hoppy's number 9, and I'll just primarily focus on the chamber, right? I'll run some wet patches through the barrel, but I do not scrub on barrels. I don't scrub on a barrel until the accuracy falls off. Vast majority of the time, now, like where we shot last weekend, we shoot this weekend, we shoot the following weekend, I'm probably not even going to mop the barrels. I'm digging the setup today. I appreciate it, Godfather. How does the Girsan feel and run compared to the Beretta? I've heard they are made. It is just as good. The Beretta trigger is a little bit better. However, that could be strictly because the Beretta has been used a lot more. The Girsan, I'd be lying if I said we had more than 500 rounds through it. It's not very many at all. Again, I'm left-handed, so the transfer bar on the right side of the guns doesn't work real well for a left-handed person. But as far as like quality-wise or fitment-wise, there is no noticeable difference. I mean, I couldn't point anything out on the Girsan that's like poor quality. I don't really want to say it's a great quality gun, but it's definitely not a poor quality gun. If somebody were buying that, even like the just the black version, saving a couple $100 on a Beretta, I don't think you would be disappointed. All the parts are compatible with the exception of the barrel. The barrel's got a little different lockup, but I can actually take the slide, and we've tried this. We can take the slide and interchange the slides. I can interchange the lowers. You just can't interchange the barrels. I could do the trigger work. Like I said, I used to be a gunsmith. I had a shop, so if I shot them, it would have trigger work, but it's not something I really shoot. I bought it for my oldest years ago, and I just no reason to sell them. I used to scrub the hell out of my guns until I watched your video, Stop Overcleaning Your Guns videos. Yeah, man, it's really easy to damage a firearm. You'll do more damage to your firearm than you will by shooting it. Is there a lot of difference between the Beretta and the 92, or just the brand difference? I've heard people say that same gun. So it's very, very, very similar. The Girsan is a NATO licensed, NATO approved, Beretta licensed, NATO approved firearm. So about 99% of the parts are interchangeable between the two. NATO forces use it just like they use the Beretta. There isn't really, from the example I have, maybe it's a little different example. The only real difference that you can tell is the grip. On the Girsan, I don't know if they're all this way, it could just be mine. They have little finger grooves in them. If you look carefully, you can kind of see them in the grip. So that's really the only noticeable difference. The trigger pulls are similar. The Beretta I have is a little bit nicer, probably because of usage. The barrel's not interchangeable, but the slides and everything else is. So if you wanted a Beretta, would I tell you to buy a Girsan? No, I'd tell you to buy a Beretta because that's what you wanted. But if you were looking for that style of a firearm, you wouldn't be disappointed in the Girsan. It's a quality firearm. Now, long-term longevity testing, I can't speak for that. It's not something that I have a bunch of rounds through. So I just can't help you with that. Gunshots, how are you doing, man? You guys, remember to double tap that screen for me if you would. That stuff always helps out algorithms. Yeah, it's different. I'm not gonna lie, I only bought the Girsan because it was shiny. I bought it intending to give to my oldest as a gift. And then before he even knew I had it for him, he asked for something else. And so he got that. And now I've had the Girsan. But even like the Taurus, like I said, the only complaint I had, and the Beretta's better and the Girsan's okay, it's the looseness of the barrel underneath the slide where it locks up. Obviously, if it's not super snug, you will get some shift in impact. Yeah, it is. It's engraved too. Like I said, it looked cool. So that wasn't something I bought to be a tool. It was shiny, it looked cool, so I bought it. Actually, to be honest, I bought two of them. And one I got rid of before I even had it. I thought it'd be cool to have a pair of them. But they came out, I saw them at, I think 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. It was on SHOT Show. They introduced it, and like a month later, I was able to get a hold of them, and I ordered two. One I got rid of before it even came home. The store I got them from, a guy wanted one. and they couldn't get any more, so we sold that. Some of the profit from that went on to the one I bought, so it made the one I bought cheaper. Yeah, there's a bunch of them Turkish companies that make the Beretta clones, and most of them are okay. I mean, I don't know that I've ever heard of any real bad ones, you know. Yeah, like I said, the ones I've all seen or heard of, I've never seen anything really bad, but I know there's a lot of them. So, but you know, like everything, some are good, some are bad. If it's a Glock I shoot a lot, I swap them out to high vis. Unlike my carry gun and stuff, my carry gun's 100% bone stock. I've changed nothing, nor would I. It's 100% bone stock. But like my Glock 34, my other Glock that's not out here and stuff, the ones we use, I've changed all them.
Dad, is Mr. Orange Smoke in here?
Mm-mm. I bought a PT92 decades ago, and it was a little flimsy. This one I got in 2024 manufacturer feels a lot better than before. They have improved the finish. There you go. Every one of them companies is trying to step up the game. You know, firearms manufacturer is very competitive. Hate being a mechanic. Also, the Bodyguard 2.0 is the best gun I've ever owned. There you go. You never answered. Is it an electronic fan you got to change, or is it a manual fan? Nope, I don't carry a light or optics. Staccatos. I like STI when they were still the company. As far as staccatos go, I don't know. There's if I were gonna spend the money for a staccato, I would buy an Atlas. So electric. So do you just have to change out the fan assembly? Is the relay and all that's good? I'm sure you've checked all that. It's a Mac 11, Randall. It's a real Mac 11, not out of Masterpiece Arms or something. Yeah, they're finicky. Malik versus Beretta. It's not OEM. You can't buy OE parts. Half of the parts I order don't work. There you go. You're done? Perfect. Go for a ride now. What kind of car is it, Georgian? Yep, it's real Mac 11. It's not a Masterpiece Arms or something. It's the real deal. So, you know, Staccato, STI, they were custom built competition guns. Nope, it's not illegal, man. I mean, no more than anything else I own. Don't know where you live or whatever, but, you know, everything you see is legal or you wouldn't be seeing it, right? Yeah. STI, Lexus GS3. Oh, you're a baller, man. I didn't even realize that. GS350 Sport. STI, you know, or Staccato, when they've rebranded, you know, they have their competition guns, their XC, and it's not even a great competition gun. It's a 9mm minor gun. So Steel Challenge or IDPA, sure. I don't even think it works for IDPA, but they never came down on their prices for what they're building. Their builds, I don't believe, justify the price. There's a lot of guns out there that are as good or better for same or similar. Virgil built 2 of your comp guns years ago. I would love to have an STI. I still see them every once in a while on the internet, but you know, everything that's out there, I mean, they're used. So I would have liked to have had one in 38 Super. That would have been the ticket right there, the STI in 38 Super. The new, yeah, they're more mass manufactured. They aren't built the same as the old ones. Prodigy's built as well as nowadays. I think the Prodigy, I probably wouldn't disagree with you, with the exception of the Prodigy has a lot of issues because of the coating they're putting on it. They're overcoating it. Resident, it depends on what I'm doing with it, you know. You still have it, but they're safe queens now. There you go. You like the Staccato P, shoots as well as the Mark 23, and the Mark 23 shoots as well as some custom 1911s in my opinion. Yeah. A lot of people use the Staccato Ps. You do see them a lot in competition. If I'm going to spend that kind of money on a 2011, it's going to be something nicer than Staccato. Your Arkin scope came in the mail yesterday. You're loving it. I need to invest in some Arkin optics, maybe over winter. My summer months, my warm months are all shoot, shoot, shoot. Almost every weekend we go and shoot somewhere. I can agree with that too. Black revolvers are definitely sexy. Yep, I have a few shotguns. I have a Sega 12. I have a Beretta M1. I have a Keltec KSG. I have a Browning Silver Medallion. I have a Remington TAC 14. We have an Escort Arms 20 gauge, semi-auto 20 gauge. I think that's all I got for shotguns. So break-in's kind of a weird thing. A mechanical break-in is anywhere from a couple hundred rounds to 1,000 rounds, and that's mechanical break-in. That's about how many rounds you're going to take till the parts start form-fitting together. Usually between 200 and 1,000 rounds. I won't even talk about break-in myself until I hit 1,000 rounds. They only cost near $1 million. Yeah. You'd recommend the USAS 12? Do you have a USAS? Fiocchi, most of their ammo's pretty decent. On occasion, just like everybody, they get issues. Generally speaking, they make okay ammo. Given the opportunity, I prefer to buy American manufactured ammunition, but the Fiocchi stuff's okay. If an AR has trouble chambering the first round on a fully loaded mag, is that because the buffer tube spring? Not always. Sometimes you'll have issues with the feed ramps. Sometimes it can be a magazine issue. Does it do it on every single magazine you own? A lot of times, ARs, especially on like the metal GI mags, they don't like 30 rounds in the mag. No, trying to get a FFL license. Well, they're easy to get. I had one for years. What made you buy the M80T over the 98B MRAD? I'm left-handed, so I wanted a semi-automatic rifle so I could use it left-handed. I bought that with the intention of shooting King of the Mile. Not that it's the best rifle out there, but it wasn't something that I was planning on taking hunting or anything like that. It's just a toy. Also had Federal American Eagle in 24 grain available, but it was very old stock with strange black marks on all the bullets. Didn't feel like getting it. Sometimes the copper will discolor. I don't know Winchester white box, bust ammo money can buy. Yeah. You know what the truth of it is, though, John? Is back in the early 2000s, that was the shit to buy. I used to be able to get 1,000 rounds from Walmart for $100, and it was good ammunition. It shot good, it ran good, it was clean, and then it wasn't, and then it all went to shit. I had the problem with all my ARs in Florida with PMAGs, and humidity don't mix. Yeah, I could see that. Is the Lancer or Metal Mag smoke? What MOA are you getting from it? From the Barrett? We usually get like 2 MOA at 100. At 600, it kind of depends on the rest. If I'm shooting, like we have a tower I shoot of, and there's videos on the channel. If I'm shooting out of the tower at 600 yards, it's about a 4 to 6 MOA, which is normal for the gun. They say it's a 2 to 4 MOA gun, so it's not a precision rifle. It's not a target rifle. It's an anti-material rifle. If you're in America, I mean, we don't really have assault rifles. So I'm not sure what to tell you for that. If you're looking for a first, kind of fun type gun to get that maybe resembles a military firearm, generally speaking, an AR-15 would probably be your first go-to. Back in the day when AKs were only $300, most people would get an AK over an AR-15 because of the price. But nowadays, you can get a good AR, not a tier 1 AR or anything, but a good AR that's going to run for $1,000 or less. So that's a great way for somebody to get into firearms and try to figure out what they like and what they don't like. It's funny with what ARs cost now and what AKs cost. That used to be, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, that was flipped. You could buy a good AK for under $1,000, and I'm talking like the Bulgarian or some of the true Polish ones. Yeah, don't see a Combat Master. Nope, you don't see any Combat Masters. Any Vepers in the collection? How do you feel about them? The Vepers are okay. Like I said, I got a Sega 12, so I don't have the Veper 12. If you want to build a true AK, if you're cool doing the work to it, the Veper is as close as it gets. I mean, they're made in the same factory. You just have to put a little effort into converting them. I've shot a bunch of 870s over the years. It's an 870. There's nothing good or bad about them. Most of them work. They're a good utilitarian firearm. A lot of parts available, so you can do a lot of stuff to them. Take it you don't rate the Combat Master, so I don't know what you mean by don't rate. Your $500 M&P Sport Chambers, fully loaded mags, no problems. My FN has problems. Yeah, again, it kind of depends on the magazine. Well, it depends. Some stuff I've bought offline and had it shipped to a local FFL. Some of the stuff I bought yet when I was still a dealer. But vast majority of everything I buy, I have ordered and shipped. One thing you could check too, speaking of magazines, sometimes they cut the magazine release wrong. It's out of spec. So take the upper off and look at where the magazine is sitting inside the lower. See if it's sitting high or sitting low, and if you have another AR, compare it to it. I'm not going to rate it because I don't own one, so I have nothing positive, nor do I have nothing negative to say about it. Had a ZZ PO1 once, got stolen, but wanted to buy a new one, but felt the finish quality had dropped a lot, and heard a lot that new Omega series had a lot of complaints. Yeah, the Omega series, you know, I like what they were trying to do with it, where you could convert the safety to have a decocker and or a manual. That was kind of a cool thing, but you know, sometimes when somebody tries to give you everything you want, there's certain aspects that'll suffer, and they definitely have some issues. I wouldn't recommend anybody buys a CZ with a decocker. Maybe for a carry gun, but they're not a great competition gun. They're hard to work on. The sear cage in a decocker CZ is a very, very hard, frustrating subcomponent. That it's pain in the ass. The manual safety CZs, they're super easy to work on. You can get some great triggers out of them. So I won't disagree with that, Georgian. I mean, like I say, I like Glocks. I have a bunch of them. I shot them for years. For most people, just getting into a firearm, a Glock 19, the Glock 17, or the Glock 47, or any of the versions of any of that in there, are a good option. They're accurate enough. They're a good jack of all trades. You can use them for competition. You can use them for home defense or personal protection, concealed carry, and you can use it for target shooting. So you can take it out. It's going to work, and you're going to learn a lot about a Glock on what you do and what you don't like about other firearms. It's a good place to start. But with that said, I could make the argument that the Smith & Wessons, the Springfields, you know, the Echelon, or some of these other companies, I mean, they're so close to Glock now that it's hard to say one's better than the other. One gun I would probably tell somebody to get would be the what is it, the P10, the CZ P10, the polymer frame CZ. It's a mirror. It's another clone of a Glock, but the price on them comes in super affordable, and they got good triggers. So that would be another one I would tell somebody to look at. So they're polymer frames versus like a steel frame or an alloy frame. The polymer frames, when you shoot them, they are generally feel softer in the hand. Polymer flexes, so they are more comfortable to shoot. Like a Glock 17 versus the SP01. The SP01, you feel it, and there's no flex in it. A lot of the modern guns are reliable. If you're buying something, a modern gun, most of them, name brand stuff, is a decent gun. So we're not supposed to discuss gun prices on YouTube lives, but I bought that Beretta 92 FS in 2014, and I want to say it was right around like 700 cheeseburgers. P10F is one of the best feeling polymer guns I've ever shot. Mine is OR, but no O on it. I'm not sure what you mean by that. What are cheaply made, Georgian? The P10s? Oh, optic ready and optic? Yeah. So again, I think most people are going to be hard pressed to wear out a modern firearm. Abusing it, neglecting it, yeah, you could just definitely destroy a firearm. But if you're buying something, I don't mean like buying a poor metal state. If you're buying something somewhat decent, they're generally going to last longer than anybody's going to shoot them. Now, if you're a high volume shooter like John Wanks, or if you're shooting, you know, a lot, and I don't mean like a couple hundred rounds a week, I mean like a couple thousand rounds a week, they're going to last for a while. I mean, my Glock 17 I bought in 2002, and I used it for my main competition gun for decades. I can easily state by probably 10 times that gun has more rounds through it than everything else I own combined. Everything else combined. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of rounds to that gun. I've worn out 4 barrels in it, and the gun still goes. I haven't had any problems with that. I'm waiting to break a frame rail or something on it. They're getting thin, but that gun's lasted for a very, very long time. Using roll pins and not having stainless parts for everything is not acceptable. I can't handle guns on a live, sorry. Any holster you buy, doesn't matter if it's Kydex or leather, you will eventually start causing finish wear. There is no way around that. Like you say, you can keep it in a bag or a gun case, but if you're going to carry it, better accept the fact it's going to get wear. It is what it is. Anytime you put something in and out, you'll cause finish wear on it. Unless you want to go with like an open gun holster, which I'm pretty sure you number one, probably don't know what I mean. Number two, that's not someplace you want to be. Yeah, YouTube will get you, man. So I'm definitely not trying to get strikes on my channel. They're not very gun friendly as it is without doing something like that. You know, even as far as wear goes on guns, like I have that Dan Weston on the right hand side here. That's the third gun up with the red grips and red trigger. You can see where the slide lock lever engages in the gun. That's wear. You know, that's a hard pill to swallow. There's a bunch of dog hair floating around, so them aren't scratches on the gun. It's just dog hair sitting on them. But you can see where the slide lock locks in. That bothers me. I wish that wasn't there. But any gun you use is going to get wear. If you want a gun to stay pristine, don't shoot it. I will say though, stainless guns are a lot easier to maintain than a gun with a finish on it. Stainless, you can actually polish back out, and you'll hide a lot of the wear from it. My Colt 1911 up there, I used that for a long time for IDPA, and I would get finish wear on it from the Kydex holsters, and I just get flits out and I polish it and it looks good. I don't mind seeing handling marks or wearing a firearm. Just a quick hi, I had to work late. Well, how you doing, Arizona? So glad to see you again. I don't mind seeing wear in firearms. I don't mind seeing scratches. I don't mind seeing, whatever. What bothers me is when it's due to poor handling. Like the kid drops a gun in the safe, or he bangs two guns together, or something like that. That pisses me off. But to look at guns and they're getting wear on them from being used, that makes me feel good. It tells me I'm doing something right. All right, resident, we'll catch you later, man. You be good. Double tap that screen if you haven't already. I think leather holsters will probably show less finish wear than a Kydex holster, but if you get any kind of debris or contamination in that leather holster, you'll start getting a lot of wear quick. Yeah, man, don't sweat it. You don't have to apologize to me. I know you're still working on your holster and stuff, so handle business. I haven't done live in a little over a week. I think it's actually over a week. So I'm trying to get them in today while I had time. Ain't got shit going on. Next couple weeks I'll be busy again, so try and get the time in when I ain't got nothing else to do. So I don't know if you guys know it if you're watching, or if you can even see it on here. But YouTube has what they call a ranking system now. I don't know if they're doing it for all the channels, but on my particular channel, I was selected to do the ranking system. So as people comment, they give me rankings. Again, you can see it. Yeah, so I'm not sure the purpose of that, but obviously the more comments you get, the higher ranking you get. The more people you have being ranked, it helps the algorithms. So it's probably just another way for them to stick it to people. They have that, and then they have some other crap they're going to start rolling out. I got emails on it, part of their YouTube partner program. Then they want me to do a training seminar too. It's like 8 classes, an hour each class. Trying to think of what they called it. It was basically like a trial run. I was supposed to be honored to be part of it, but I don't know. I don't know if I'm even going to do it. They're not gun friendly, so why should I donate a bunch of time to them? I think all it comes down to is they just want to find ways to not monetize people or not let people get paid. So usually all their little bullshit they want you to do, their little classes or seminars and all that stuff, I do it. I just suck it up and I do it. But I'm kind of getting to the point where I'm not going to continue to do it. They suppress content. They give strikes out on content that are completely bogus. They pull views off of videos. We can sit here and watch views, and it'll be going up. Video will be going up, going up, going up. All of a sudden, it'll drop, 500 or 1,000 views or something, and then it'll go back up and it'll drop a bunch more views. And they tell me that's not actually happening. We watched it. I've screen recorded it. So obviously any ammo is gonna corrode. I don't know where you live or what your environment is, but the more humid it is, the worse it's gonna be. You could try some like silicone packs, like they put them in just about anything. It's a little like packs you get when you buy anything. It's little silicone packs, but you could try keeping your ammo in that. Keep it like in a closet generally versus sitting out in your kitchen, right? Don't handle it. You know, if you're not shooting the ammunition, don't sit and handle it. If and when it does start to corrode, something like Flitz is a good metal polish. You can just put a little on a rag and wipe it off. Try not to use oil. Oil will inert primers, so try to stay away from that. Obviously, don't submerge the ammunition. I do pretty much nothing with my channel. I have about 100 hours of raw range and competition videos. No flipping clue how to edit all this shit. Yeah. Like I said, I know they suppress it, so I put a video on this channel and I put one on my other channel the exact same day and within a minute of each other. Right now on this channel, it's got less than 400 views. On my other channel, it's like 1,100,000 and almost 200,000 views. Now, that channel has 5,000 subscribers. This one has 14,000 subscribers. And you're gonna tell me that channel got all the views? They didn't. They suppressed this channel. They're doing it because of the last strike I got. They'll do it for a while yet. They did that. It's funny because I posted that same video back, I don't know, 4 months ago or whatever. And on this channel, it got 500,000 views. On that channel, it got less than a couple hundred. So the MTM plastic boxes, store them in Milsert metal cans. Yeah, I don't have a ton of factory ammunition. Like, we got a bunch of 22, you know, we got a bunch of factory M85, I don't know, maybe 10, 20,000 rounds, probably about 10,000, 15,000 rounds, somewhere in there. A 7.62 by 39, a couple thousand rounds of 308 or 7.62, I should say. But you know, generally, I don't pull ammunition out of plastic or paper boxes. I leave it. Yeah, so I'm in the same position. Even my reloaded ammunition, I don't generally use them MTM boxes anymore. My kids are notorious at breaking them. And when I load ammo, I don't load like 100 rounds at a time. I load thousands. So I use bulk containers. Like, I'll use the boxes Barry's bullets come in. I'll fill them up. They hold about 600 rounds. And I'll hand my kid one, and they'll keep it in their range bag until they run out of ammunition. I have some Jiffy peanut containers that I got free at a garage sale last year, 2 years ago. And them hold just short of 800 rounds. I fill one of them up and I take that with me. I throw it in my cart when we go shoot. And when that one's empty, I start another one. Yeah, Hoppy's number 9. Don't use Hoppy's number 9 on ammunition because it's a cleaner preservative slash penetrating, so it will contaminate that ammunition. You could easily start inerting your cartridges with that. Do not use Hoppy's number 9 to clean ammunition. You will cause problems. So I like them boxes, especially for rifle, but my middle son especially, I stopped using them because he kept breaking them. And how you break them, I have no idea, but he'd rip the latches off, he'd crack them, he'd do all kinds of shit. So it doesn't pay to spend a couple dollars on something that he's just gonna fucking break. So I dump his ammunition in a cardboard box. And when the box is empty, he grabs a new box and throws that one away. So I absolutely prefer them boxes. It's nice to be able to do a quick count on what you have for ammunition. But like, I have a bunch of red ones that I was using exclusively for major, because then you could just tell by the box. It didn't even matter what was written on there. If it was a red box, it was major. But he started breaking them, and you know, you can get mad at a kid, and rightfully so. You know, fucking stop wrecking shit because you're being reckless with it, or you can just say this isn't working, and move on, because he isn't paying for it. He doesn't care for it, and he isn't going to take care of it. So I could either beat his head against the fucking wall each and every time he breaks a box, or just quit using the boxes. So I still have some. Like when we test ammunition, I'll load it. My daughter's ammunition, we've been putting in one of them MTM boxes because I use federal primers for her. Same load, same bullets that my son has, but I use federal primers for her because we get 100% ignition out of that Shadow Systems. With his gun, the Tactical Sport Orange, his gun will light off Ignite Hard primers. So I use cheap primers for him and me. Get them from Portugal, I think. Somewhere in South America, but we get them cheap. So, but they're hard. The striker fired guns don't like to set them off. So her ammo I still put in boxes, so I can easily identify that it's her ammo. Like last year and shit, when we shot big matches, I would obviously had good cartridges put together for him, and that we kept in boxes too because it was specific for a match. But blue is for your Ruger, red for bowl and pin. There you go. You know, you spin on two. You could even take, find like a stocking, like maybe your old lady wears stockings. Fill one of them up with rice, like you put your phone in rice. Don't put the ammunition in it, but just take it and put it in your ammo can or wherever you keep your ammunition. That'll absorb moisture too, if you don't have access to them silicone packs. Yeah, and it's gonna happen. Like I said, if you're worried about how it looks, get a metal polish, something like Flitz or something like that. But definitely don't use hoppies. Don't use an oil or a penetrating oil, because it'll get into the case and it'll destroy the powder, or it'll inert the primer, and you know that's the round you need. Or what most people do is they just cycle through that ammunition. Load for your Ruger's kind of hot. What are you loading for your Ruger? And I don't think you told me, and I'm sure you probably have in other lives, but refresh my memory on what Ruger you have, and then what load you're using. Like the 357 I have, I'm not going to be able to quote load weight, but I like H110 powder. For 38 special, there's some load data for Winchester 244, or there's some load data for 231. I've used them, but I generally load 357 Magnum for it, and I'll use H110, either a 125 grain semi-jacketed bullet, or a 158 grain, be it an XTP or something. Saw your videos. All right, I appreciate that. Have many Rugers, but my Alaskan I use H110 tight group crate. Yeah, okay. See, now I remember we've talked about this. What's your favorite 9mm major load? So I have a couple, both of which are with a 115 grain bullet. The AA7, 9.9 grains at 1.150 with the RMR bullet, or if you have the new RMR bullets that they say are RMR but they aren't, they're 1.30 with the same load, but I go down to 9.7 grains instead of 9.9. Or my favorite load is 8.8 grains of HS6. HS6. That's that 1.130. unless I have the old RMR bullets, which I don't have access to. They haven't sent them to me. But them I could load to 1.150. But them all make major. It's like 172, 173 power factor, but 9mm major. Oh yeah, so you're they're hard cast. I cast bullets too. I kind of stopped shooting cast bullets when my kids started shooting with me, and you can't use them for major anyway. But I didn't really cast anything for rifle. It was all 44 Magnum, 45 or 9mm, and I would add the line of type 2, depending on how I was lubing them. If I was using like the liquid Alox, obviously a tumble lube bullet, then I made them a little harder. That 3N37, that's what a lot of people seem to like. I don't really have access to it. So I have a bunch of the Accurite, and I don't know, I got maybe 5 pounds of the HS6 left. Both of which are gassy, but a lot of people, man, they're telling me to get that 3N37, that Vitavori. It's Vitavori, right? Or is it the Shooter's World? I think that's Shooter's World, right? 3N37 is Shooter's World. How much bullets should I keep in the PT92 mag if it's not going to be used that much? Just keep it big for self-defense. So having a magazine loaded really isn't going to harm it. What harms magazines is the cycling of the magazine, the compression, the release, the compression, the release, the compression, release. Basically cleaner and slower than auto comp. It's Vitavori, okay. I knew it was one of them. I couldn't quite remember which. I have a bunch of Winchester auto comp too. I bought it to do major with it. I don't know why I never used it. I tried HS6 and it's super gassy. I should try the auto comp, but I don't know. But that Vitavori, or like the Shooter's World Major, that was the other one I was trying to think of. If I could find some online for a reasonable price, I'd pick some up. But when I first started shooting, I used the 124 grain bullets. I want to say it was like 6.8 grains of AA7. I didn't mind the load, and then everybody I talked to said they used 115s, and so I tried 115s, and I've not had great luck with Win Auto Comp. Not always consistent. There you go. The 115s shoot a lot softer, and you get more gas with them. Is it way gassier? I should try some. Watch your load data and pressure spikes, so you have to be careful. Yeah, I did a bunch of chrono data. My son was here. I could probably pull the book out. I know with the 124s we were up around like 168, 167, but I don't, and he might remember. I probably have notes in our book. I don't remember why I stayed out of it. I think I was getting primer flow. You started seeing the primers crater and again pressure spikes. So I mean the HS6, I'll be honest, I mixed up my data, so I had everything set up for the AA7, and I thought it was set up for HS6, so I loaded a few rounds, like more than I should have, and it was 9.9 grains of HS6, and it was a 200 power factor. I expected to blow the gun up. It didn't blow the gun up, but it was like 1,700 feet per second on a 115. I saw that on the chrono. Oh fuck, I fucked something up. Went home, yep, I fucked that up. I should have been a grain lighter. But the 115s, like I said, they shoot super soft. I used the RMR bullets. When I was doing the 124s, I used their match winners, their flat point match winners, and then you could load super long. And that of course helps with the pressure spikes, right? And was buying their 115 just full metal jacket, and then they had some that they said were their bullets, but they weren't. They're different. You got to load them much shorter, so they're actual 115s that could load at 1.150. And with this new bullet they have that they're still saying is theirs, the max I can load is 1.125, and anything past that and it starts touching the rifling. But with that, they're a little shorter, so the velocity went up a little bit. But I do still like their bullets. They're not bad. What are you running for bullets? I'm sure you're not running plated if you got the comp. I tried the Everglade bullets for a while. They were full copper bullet. There was no exposed lead. They were expensive. They're $170 for 1,000. The RMR have an exposed lead core, but I haven't had an issue with lead, and I've been using them, I don't know, 60, 70,000 of them now. Like I said, up until this first batch I got this year, they were exactly the same bullet, and when I loaded my ammo this year, I didn't even check the overall length. I just went by what I had set, and we went out to shoot the gun, and then I had issues where I didn't notice it so much with shooting it because the bullet would get pushed in when the gun would chamber. It was chambering, but when you tried to manually eject the round, it was getting stuck. And then I noticed right away that it was pushing the bullet in. Brought them home, looked at it, and of course then the load was off too. We were way hot, which is a good thing because I know the gun will handle 200 power factor. But I know in the past, like, I had some stuff that was up around 180 power factor, and it made my butthole pucker. Now it doesn't bother me, but I like to be around that 170, 172, 173 power factor. But yeah, what are you using for bullets? Yeah, I don't think the HS6 or the AA7 is real sensitive. Like, it doesn't seem like it. I don't get a bunch of primer flow or crater, and obviously with like these foreign primers we use, they run a little hotter. I can back off a couple tenths and get the same velocity, but and then primers, I think, I don't know, they're definitely not Federal or Winchester primers, but they're cheap, so we use them. Most of the time 124 ammo will run a little better. Most 9mm are actually designed to run 124 grain ammunition, which is kind of deceiving because 115 is what a lot of people get, and they get it because it's cheap. But most of the time, most guns will shoot more accurately with 124, and they'll run a little better. For bullet weights, with the exception of major, that's what I generally prefer to run, as a 124 grain bullet. My daughter's gun, that Shadow Systems with the comp, I run a 115 in there with her, but it's got more powder, so it makes the comp work more, even though it ends up being a little snappier because it's a full power load. In a normal gun, it ends up feeling snappier. In her gun, it shoots softer. I would say you should probably leave the gun set up as it is. You start, if you're running factory ammunition, you're using the gun for a carry gun, a defense gun, just leave it the way it is. It'll work just fine. If you start shooting competition with it or something, or you start hand loading ammunition, then the need might arise to start playing with spring weights. But until them variables have happened, you're better off just leaving it stock. You'll get the most reliability generally out of a stock gun, or the best reliability. How you doing, Orange Smoke? I chat for a little bit. I'm gonna shut this off at 5:30. I like the 124 because pressure is a lot lower, safer, and less violent for the sliding cases. Yeah, like I said, that's what I started out with was the 124s. I don't know, the one, and this could be just me, but the 115s feel softer in the hand, like less recoil. I definitely get more gas, but I don't know. You know, I'm definitely not a master or grandmaster, so I never considered the 115 for major until a bunch of other people said that's what they use. So I tried it, and I don't dislike it. As far as brass, that's one thing that always makes me nervous. I've always used brand new Starline brass. I load it once and leave it lay. But I did just order. I ordered bullets and brass today, and I ordered brass from RMR2. They had 1,000 pieces, or per 1,000 it was $100 versus the Starline that's $170 per 1,000. So hopefully that works out. But I ordered a bunch of bullets and a bunch of brass from them today. But whose bullets are you using? I really liked the RMR flat nose, that looked like a semi-wad cutter, 124 grain bullet, and they fed great in the checkmates, but we had feeding issues in some of the other guns with them. Yeah, everybody has a different feel. I argue that point with a lot of people. Steel versus polymer. I personally think that same load data, a polymer frame gun to me has less felt recoil. It'll have more muzzle flip, but it has less felt recoil. That's just my interpretation. Yeah, I agree with that. Gunshots too. You shouldn't have to start changing parts. Now there is times and places to change recoil springs, but on a carry gun you shouldn't. You should leave it alone. Like I said, in my Glock 17, I dropped from the 17-pound spring to a 15-pound spring. You know, on my race gun, depending on what load we're using, I'll run anywhere from a 10 to a 12-pound spring to an 18-pound spring. Generally, I like a 10-pound spring in there. And my son's gun, before we put the optic on it, we ran a 10-pound spring, and now we have a 12-pound spring in there. That optic definitely added a little mass to the slide, and it slowed it down a little bit. We had some failure to chambers with it. Once I stepped up to the 12-pound spring, it's run fine. But generally speaking, like I said, and what Gunshot said, is leave the gun stock. If it's something other than a defense firearm, something you're gonna protect your family or your property with, then absolutely change it for fun, right? But if it's something you're gonna use that for your life, liberty, or whatever else, you need to just keep it. shopkeeper told me that if I wanted to keep the gun for a long period, then I should get a full metal frame. He said polymer ones start getting flimsy after use. I don't know that I agree with that either. So steel gun will last, you know, hundreds of years, right? That's just the way that is. But I think a polymer gun is going to last a lifetime. So, and the truth of it is too is a lot of people have preference, and it comes down to the action type and the material. You know, some people like aluminum frame, steel slides. Some people like single action only. Some like double action, single action. Some like double action. Some like striker fired. If there was one gun out there that worked for everybody, then there wouldn't be so many different models out there. So every gun has an advantage and every gun has a disadvantage. You know, like your Taurus that you got, that's a good kind of do-all type firearm. It's going to work for personal protection. It's going to work for fun shooting. It's going to work for a lot of different things. But is it going to excel in any one category? It's not going to. It's a service grade gun. I agree with that, Gunshots. So I do prefer, and one thing I will say is I want my trigger pulls to be the same each and every time. I'm not a fan, and I can shoot them, and I do. My SPO1 is my IDPA gun, but I prefer my trigger pull to be the same each and every time. I'm not a fan of a double action trigger pull first and then a single action after that. If they were all double action, if they were all single action, if they were all striker fired, it's an easier gun to master. Now, there is an advantage to the double action, single action, such as, like I keep talking about these hard primers we use. My SPO1 competition, I have a reduced power hammer spring in there. So sometimes it doesn't pop the primers. So you pull the trigger again, it goes into double action, it pops primer. I could fix that, right? I could change that spring and go back to either a heavier spring or even the stock spring, but then I would add weight to the trigger. But the Tauruses are the same way. You know, it's a double action, single action pull. It's not something that makes the gun unusable. It's just means you got to practice it. But, you know, you'll hear a lot of people say that with like polymer, and then you'll hear people talk down about aluminum frames, or, you know, you should have a steel frame. Ultimately, it takes a lot to wear out a gun. Yeah, that's the new ones, right? Where they have the frame mounted safety, kind of like that Taurus he's talking about. So. A cop I know has an old PT92 which he got 25 years back. Ran it like crazy and still runs great. Not a single issue now, till now. Some people I know had issues with polymer guns. Yeah, it's... Like I said, all I can say is from my experience, the firearm I have absolutely the most rounds through out of anything I own combined. And that's not even just like what I currently own. That's like anything I've ever owned. I have more rounds through that gun than anything else I've ever owned. It's just a polymer Glock, you know, a Gen 3 Glock. So I don't think the polymer frames don't get brittle. I don't know. Back from the Stiff Cave. How are you doing, Stifler? I wish you were here earlier. Guy was talking about Glock slides. I told him your website, so hopefully he found you. I did go on Instagram and leave you a message with my phone number and email. So I'm actually I'm actually going to be getting off of here in about 5 minutes. But we'll stick around for a few. You know, and like everything, Usman, too, is we could all say steel is better, or aluminum's better, or polymer's better. But the fact of the matter is manufacturers have things go wrong. They may get a bad batch of heat-treated parts. They could get... There you go. Make that money, man. Gotta get that time in. If you're not working, you're not getting paid. But, you know, Glocks have had issues with their heat treating process on frame rails. I had a Glock 22, a 40 cal that actually had frame rail shear off because of a poor heat treatment. And the same thing can happen with their polymer injection or steel alloy frames, whatever it is. It happens. Not every gun is going to be 100% all the time. Not anything in life that's manufactured or produced will always be 100%. Sometimes things happen. Some companies are better at catching the problem sooner. And not only do they catch the problem sooner, but they do something about it. They don't just ignore it and write it off as somebody else's problem or a problem downstream. They stop it. But how many slides do you spray at a time, Stifler? I mean, obviously you do a batch at a time, but are you doing like 20, 30, 100? You can overclean a firearm. If you want to destroy a barrel real quick, start overcleaning it. Barrels don't need to be cleaned until they fall to the point you lose accuracy. Now, it doesn't mean don't clean the chamber. I mop my chambers. I keep them clean so the gun's chamber. But I do not scrub barrels until I have to. As far as gun oil in a gun, I definitely prefer grease over oil. I love shooter's choice. Oil has a purpose and a place. It works as a good preservative, but it's not. Most oils are not a good lubricant. Minimum one if it's a one-off color like hunter green or orange or green mamba, and then 20 at a time, doing something like graphite black. There you go. That's a good paste to spray then. That's not too bad. A barrel should be cleaned when either it's being put in long-term storage or it loses accuracy. When you go shoot your gun and your gun's shooting, you know, a 2-inch group at 15 yards, and then the next time you go out, you can't keep it on the paper, that's time to clean the gun. But just because the barrel, the rifling's dirty, does not mean you need to clean that rifling. A seasoned or conditioned in barrel will generally shoot better than a freshly cleaned barrel. I checkmate, for instance, if I clean that gun and I don't have 60 rounds through that barrel, that gun doesn't shoot for shit. As soon as it hits about that 50, 60 round mark, the gun will tighten right back up and damn near shoot one shot groups. But I generally lube my guns before every match, and I'll just wipe out the old grease and I'll reapply. But there may be times, like if we're shooting every weekend, it may go 3 or 4 matches plus a couple practice sessions, so 5,000 rounds, 4,000 rounds before it's cleaned and lubed. So if you don't shoot it for months, if you're using Hoppy's number 9 to clean your bores, there's nothing you really have to do special. Hoppy's number 9 is a preservative slash cleaner slash penetrating oil. It will preserve the barrel. There you go. Yeah, they don't need to be cleaned every time. Like I said, I am a firm believer on, I like to mop the chamber. at the very least, I like to do that. Even if I don't clean the gun, relubricate it. With the stuff my son and daughter shoots, I'll usually take a Hoppe's number 9, a wet patch, and just mop the chamber, and then I'll run a couple dry patches through it. And that's just to make sure they cycle good for them. And then the relubing them, that kind of depends on you and how you use it. If you're only shooting a couple hundred rounds through it, leave it alone. If you have money wrapped up in a match, then it's not a big deal to take and wipe out the grease with a piece of paper towel and reapply it and put the gun back together. So each person is going to have their own maintenance plan. Mine is generally, like I just said, I mop the chamber, I don't scrub the barrel, and I'll relube the gun. I'll wipe the old lube off and reapply new lube. But if you're using grease and stuff, you go thousands of rounds in between having to apply it. Gun oil, if you're using gun oil, I would put it on just before I shoot, and I would shoot the gun, you know, but oil doesn't stay put. It's not a great product for people to use. Yeah, I can see that especially on the Glock style slides, they don't really need lubricant. Like on a Glock, the barrel hood, or the bottom of the barrel by the lock and block, I'll put lube there, and I'll put a little in the slide rails just to smooth the gun out, but they don't need to. But the barrel hood and the lockup is where I like to put lubricant on a Glock style firearm. I guess we're talking about lubricant and grease and overcleaning. So I said, you know, cleaning guns is like, I don't know, it's kind of satire. Everybody has their own idea of what to do. Like on your hunting rifle, you get your hunting rifle out, I'll run a wet patch through the barrel, a dry patch through the barrel. I'll go sight the gun and shoot the gun. I don't deer hunt anymore, but this was my technique. After deer hunting, I would run some wet patches through the gun, usually with Hoppe's number 9, and then I'd put the gun away. I wouldn't run it dry patches through the gun. I'd run wet patches through the gun, and that would preserve the bore. And when it was time to shoot the gun again, like I said, I would run patches through the bore, dry out what's ever there, and shoot it. With AR-15s, I mean, I go anywhere from 100 rounds to 5,000 rounds before I clean the gun, a barrel. But the actions, generally, I'll at least wipe the lubricant out and reapply it. You know, but I can tell you for sure, you can tell when a gun's dirty and it loses accuracy. It's obvious. It's like drastically obvious. How long does the Hoppe's number 9 last without usage? And it depends, man. It depends. There's so many variables there. How porous the metal is, humidity, moisture, temperature, a lot of things. I mean, I've never seen how you're storing it too. Like for me in Wisconsin, when we go hunting in the fall, we go from a firearm being warm in a house to taking it out, or even if it was in the car, once you take it out in the field and then you put it back in your vehicle, they'll build condensation. So obviously in that type of scenario, how long that lubricant or preservative or whatever will last kind of depends. Yeah, oil doesn't stay put. Like I said, anybody that uses oil, if they're gonna oil their slide, you know, you show up to shoot, you're going practice, just target shooting, pull your slide out, you lube it, you assemble it, and you shoot it. But You know, oil does not stay put. You know, you've heard me a million times say, I like Shooter's Choice. That's my gun lubricant of choice. I like Shooter's Choice. I've used it for a long time. I've recommended it to everybody, and it works. With my stainless steel 1911s, I don't use Shooter's Choice. I use Riggs Plus P. It's a stainless steel lubricant. I've used that for years on them. So there's other grease out there, like Lucas makes a grease. Plus, I mean, probably everybody makes a gun grease, but from my experience, I should add too, like in my M1A, I use a Lubriplate. I don't even use Shooter's Choice in that. It's a grease that was designed or used at least for M1 Grands, M1 carbines, early Thompsons and stuff. So in like my Thompson I have, my M1A I have, even the Barrett, that's what I use in them, is that Lubriplate. But Stifler, what do you said CLP, what else do you use? I used to make my own solvent, some kerosene, some mineral spirits, some ATF. Trying to think what else I put in there. It was a similar mix to what Hoppies used, but it didn't smell like Hoppies. It smelled like kerosene. I don't remember the ratios. So yeah, that's the recipe right there. The Ed's Red solvent. No, the Ed's Red. That's the bullet lubricant, right? The grease or the bolt lube. So I think we were talking about it one day when I was downstairs loading. I have a bunch of that Ed's Red. Bore cleaner, okay. So that's the recipe, isn't it? The ATF, kerosene, mineral oil, and there's something else in there. I can't think of what it is. But that Ed, he has that bullet lube too. That yeah, I can't think of what that stuff's called. I think that's Ed's Red too, but it's a bullet lubricant. He mixes that shit and sells it. I think some of the precision rifle shooters turned me onto that stuff years ago, and when I had my shop, that's what I used, and we mixed it. But I haven't mixed any of that since I closed my shop. Generally, for most things, I'll use Hoppies number 9. For like my rifles, I'll use Butch's Borshine. My Savage 308, I usually have to use Sweet 762 on there. It's pretty bad with copper falling. Best lube ever, 3 parts Mobile 1, 1 part grease. That's one thing I never really did, was make my own gun grease. I think like that Shooter's Choice I like. It's a what is it, Lucas Super Tacky and something else in it, but I don't know. A lot of that stuff I did when I was younger. I had more time than money, but never degrades and stays put. Use the Wilson Combat. I've never tried their grease. So, all right, gentlemen, I'm gonna get out of here. We've been on here quite a while. I appreciate any of you that hung out and stuck around. Gunshots, I appreciate you. Orange Smoke, if you're still sitting in the background there, you get home safe. I hope you have a good night. Stifler, I appreciate you as always. all the rest of you that came and went. I appreciate all of you. I'm not going to sit and rattle you all off. There's too many of you. But I appreciate it. You guys have a good night. I will catch